At age 18 is when you start getting all the wonderful benefits of 401ks and all the other pieces, and what to do next.
I got really into Morningstar like a super nerd, and I was online and looking all of my options, and I was like, this is the moment. I am building a portfolio allocation that's going to build me wealth and make me a millionaire.
And I think it's the same with an HSA plan.
Right.
Everybody tells you, oh, you should have that.
Right.
Everybody should have that. And you're like, wait, I want that.
Awesome when you're young and healthy, because you can save a decent amount of money every year. It's tax advantaged and it can grow over time.
Hello and welcome to Express Yourself Podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Martinez.
And I'm Lauren Genuardi, and we're coming to you with questions that come in from our viewers and listeners. And our question today is, I just got my first job. What do I do now? It's exciting.
It is. And I think it takes me back.
Right.
Absolutely. Makes me feel a little aged. Many birthdays ago.
We're seasoned, that's all.
Yes. And we were just talking about this, that some of us, overachievers over here, are well-versed in knowing what to do and what steps to take. And some of us are didn't know what to do. Right when I stepped into my first job where they actually offered benefits, right? Because we have those first couple jobs that might not offer it because we're so young and we're still signing the permission slip to get the job at 14, 15, 16. But when you actually start getting the benefits at age 18 is when you start getting all the wonderful benefits of 401ks and all the other pieces and what to do next.
Right.
I had no idea, but fortunately, I've been blessed most of my life all my life I've been blessed, but in specific instances to have wonderful people surround me and give me great advice.
Yeah.
And be able to say, hey, Vanessa, sign up for this and I'll help you along the way. And I think that's one of the main pieces that inspired us to have this podcast.
Right.
Send us those questions that you might not have those answers to, because we want to be that person that can help you get those answers.
Right.
So for you out there that sent in this question, let's walk through some of the pieces, because there might be many benefits that your employer's offering. So one of the first pieces would be read all your paperwork.
Right. Dig in. This is not the time to skim it. Sit and really figure out what they're offering you, what's available, and then kind of start to go item by item. I'm very systematic. Go item by item and figure out, what is this? Do you qualify? Can you participate? And the first one that usually comes up is the 401k. And I still remember my first 401k. I was very excited. It was a part-time job while I was in college, and I think I had to turn 21. I think that was the rule of their particular plan. So had my birthday, I was in school taking the finance classes. I was coincidentally in like the stock market class, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is thrilling. And first I had to figure out like the math, right? Also 401k, how does this work and what does this mean? And this comes out pre-tax and how to estimate kind of what my paycheck was going to look like. And for a lot of people, your first job is your first brutal exposure to taxes as well. So you're like, oh, okay, I lose a lot of this to taxes. But it set me up to say, okay, if I contribute X percentage, what does this mean to the bottom line? And then also, then it was like, okay, now you made the contribution. Now what? And because I was in that class, I was really able to be like, okay, I got really into Morningstar like a super nerd, and I was online and looking all of my options, and I was like, this is the moment. I am building the portfolio allocation that's going to build me wealth and make me a millionaire. When in reality, you're starting out with a couple $100 at the time. But it was a really great exercise. So I encourage new students that have kind of just graduated, or someone maybe re-entering the workforce after a long time out, when you had that first job, like really bring that to your advisor and talk to your advisor. And I love to help people get that set up, understand what it means for the paychecks, and also the rules that go along with it. And this is a big thing that no one ever thinks about when you're very young, is you have to set beneficiaries on these things. And it's not to be morbid and it's not to be creepy, but you have to specify, if something happened to you, where do you want the money to go? That's a really big piece that they don't talk about. And if you haven't heard the term before, you might be like, I don't know what that means, and just like roll right on past that on the paperwork. But it's a super important part of understanding it.
One additional piece of the 401k is taking a look if you do get a match, and not just, okay, let's make sure you contribute up to the match. Everybody always says that.
Right.
Not just up to the match, but what are the matching rules?
Right.
This is so important, that if it tells you you must contribute X amount each week to get the match, if you have to contribute into a specific plan to get the match.
Right.
So you have to make sure you read those pieces so that way you are receiving it. So that is very important. So as annoying as it is to read through all the documentation, make sure you do that so you are receiving it and not just assuming you're receiving it.
Right. And ask questions. This is a great time to go to HR and say, I don't know that I understand what this is. Am I getting the full match? Because sometimes the wording gets a little tricky, 1% for the first 3% and 50% and then thereafter, and it gets confusing. And so ask the questions to make sure that you're really getting everything that you are entitled to as an employee.
Yes. And I think it's the same with an HSA plan.
Right.
Everybody tells you, oh, you should have that.
Right.
Everybody should have that. And you're like, wait, I want that. And then you might not be eligible for that.
Right. Yes. So an HSA is a health savings account, and it goes along with certain types of high deductible medical insurance plans. So you might not have picked that plan. You might have picked a regular PPO plan. You might have picked an HMO. I find that a lot of younger people like the high deductible plans, typically because they don't go to the doctor very often, or they're very healthy and there's really no reason. And so they're able to keep their costs low. However, with the high deductible, there's a lot of initial cash outlay. So be aware of that. Typically, there's a higher amount you have to pay before the insurance kicks in. But the HSA is awesome when you're young and healthy because you can save a decent amount of money every year. It's tax advantaged and it can grow over time. That becomes a little bit harder. I always joke about this, that like when you have kids where it's like, okay, you're going to put in your 7,000 or 8,000, however it moves every year. And then my kids, like one by one, somebody has the flu, somebody has allergy testing, somebody has this, and then all of that money is spent. So really, while you're young and you're able to build and start to grow that HSA, and also a lot of HSA plans actually have rules that once you get to a certain dollar amount, you could start to invest the money too, which is very cool. It doesn't just sit in a cash interest, and give you a few cents every month. You could actually start to invest, which is also fun to watch.
That is why people recommend it.
Right.
I mean, there's multiple benefits to an HSA.
Right.
But again, we have to make sure that you're eligible for it.
Right.
Another piece is, and I know this sounds a lot, you're like, I just got my first job. Yes, we get it. But there are additional benefits like parking. You get discounted parking, discounts for transportation, right? So your commute can benefit you if there is discounts for that, right? There's sometimes pet insurance, gym membership, there's health and wealth, right? So please read your documentation. I think that is the biggest piece of advice.
Right. And ask questions of your parents, ask questions of your partners, ask questions of your advisors if you have them, because there's a lot that we also kind of learn through life experience.
Yes.
And another, not just health insurance, but there's dental insurance can sometimes come into play. Vision insurance comes into play. And also you might be offered life insurance. And that's another thing where we commonly see that there's a certain minimum benefit that every employee is offered, and then you could potentially do additional life insurance. So that's another thing. I know it's like paperwork overwhelm. People want to shut down and like, stop. I don't want to read. I don't want to fill out anything more. But really kind of dig into those things, ask for help, because a lot of these forms come at you right at the very beginning.
I think something that's really important is in some instances, you might ask for help and you might get turned away.
Right.
Ask someone else.
Right.
I think that's the biggest that's what turns people off.
Right.
Right. You ask someone and they're like, I don't have time. Or fine, I'll give you help, but it'll be later. It'll be whatever. Right. And then they never come back to you. And then you're like, okay, just forget it. No, because remember, this is important to you.
Right.
This is not important to the person that you're asking. So if you need the help, you continuously look for that, because this is a huge benefit. This is the beginning. This is the beginning of you not just starting a job. It is truly starting your investing, right? It's investing in yourself, right? Not necessarily investing in financially, but it's investing in your overall wealth, right? So thank you for the question, and we're hopeful that this was helpful.
Thank you.